These social media influencers went from being some of the most loved people on the internet to the most terrible criminals with just one decision. Here is a list of influencers who ruined their lives by destroying the lives of others, and how they paid for their poor judgments. Welcome to Creepy True Cases. Take a second to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Now let's begin. Noah Galle. Noah was what many called a TikTok fast car influencer. He was only 17 years old but had a massive online following on several platforms. He filmed himself behind the wheel of flashy cars, moving at breathtaking speeds on open roads. His audience loved the thrill of revving engines and his challenge gimmicks. He would often ask viewers to guess how fast he was moving and offered cash prizes to winners. He was the daredevil who left his audience in awe and often gave his friends quite a scare. But on January 27, 2022, Noah sat behind the wheel of his BMW M5, and that night he took the lives of 6 people. That night, Noah accelerated to 151 miles per hour and was tearing down the U.S. Highway 441 in Delray Beach when he crashed head-on into a gray Nissan Rogue that carried 6 passengers. The force was so great that it crushed the vehicle, killing the 6 passengers instantly. Noah Galle survived with minor injuries. Investigators thought it was just an accident until they discovered videos of Noah showing off his speed and control, right before the accident. Prosecutors argued that his behavior was reckless and placed many lives at risk each time, just for clout. The families of the victims waited for justice to be served, but because Noah was 17, there was an initial debate whether he should be tried as an adult or a juvenile. Prosecutors demanded accountability due to the scale of the accident. He was charged with 6 counts of vehicular homicide, which could earn him at least 55 years to life. It took more than 2 years before the trial was in full swing. Noah took a plea deal and pleaded guilty to the 6 counts of vehicular homicide. The plea deal drastically reduced his sentence to a mere 12 years and 6 months in the maximum state penitentiary, also followed by 15 years of probation. In addition, Noah had to make a public service announcement on the dangers of speeding and reckless driving, to ensure that more people do not follow in his footsteps. There was serious debate on the leniency of his sentence and the scale of the loss, while many argued that the law also recognized his age at the time of the crime. Noah Galle is currently remanded at the Florida State Prison and will be released in his 30s. Mahek Bukhari. Mahek was known all over the internet as a stylish and glamorous TikTok influencer. Known for showcasing the most exotic cars, clothes, and celebrity lifestyle, however, she had a dark secret, one that soon led to her downfall. Mahek's mother, Ansrin, was in a relationship with a man named Saqib Hussein. However, things soon turned awry when Saqib and Ansrin broke up, and Saqib threatened to post intimate details of their relationship on social media unless he was paid off. Mahek found herself in the middle of the drama. Saqib Hussein and his friend Hashim Lazuddin had planned to execute the scheme together. The 2 men were later summoned by Ansrin to a location where they would get the money, a spot near Leicester. On February 11, 2022, Saqib and Hashim arrived at the location, hoping for a big payday, but it was a trap. Mahek and a group of men showed up in 2 cars and a high-speed chase began. As the chase continued, one of the cars purposely rammed into Saqib and Hashim's car, forcing it to skid off the road and explode into flames on the side barrier. Saqib and Hashim lost their lives that day. Investigators later discovered that the men had dialed 999 while being chased. They had told dispatchers that they were being chased by 2 cars that were trying to unalive them. After analyzing all text messages and phone calls, Mahek and her mother Ansrin were arrested. The trial took months before Mahek and Ansrin were eventually convicted of murder. Mahek was sentenced to life in prison with a minimum of 31 years, with 31 years minimum term before she can be considered for parole. Her mother, Ansrin, was sentenced to 26 years and 9 months in prison. Mahek's TikTok account went silent, only rattled by thousands of comments from people expressing outrage. But there was no one to reply. Abulaban. Abulaban, also known as Gene Kid, had millions of online followers and created comedy skits that made people laugh. However, his life was far from perfect. Things took a turn in October 2021 when jealousy and anger pushed him to unalive 2 people. He had been a TikTok influencer for years and built a following by doing clever impersonations of Tony Montana from Scarface and a few lighthearted everyday comedies. He had almost 1 million followers on the platform, which would make anyone happy, but his life was marred by a deep sadness. He was married to a young lady named Anna, but the relationship didn't last very long. There were frequent fights, arguments, and a lack of trust. The couple separated in 2021, even after having a young daughter together. They were forced to remain in contact for the sake of co-parenting, but Ali was still obsessed with his ex-wife. That obsession soon took him down a path of no return. On October 21, 2021, Anna was spending time with a male friend at her San Diego apartment. Their daughter was in her custody, and unbeknownst to Anna, Ali Abulaban had installed an audio device in their daughter's iPad. The device allowed him to monitor conversations and eavesdrop on her personal affairs. On that fateful day, Ali listened in as usual and heard Anna engaging in intimacy with her male counterpart. He immediately grabbed a gun and made his way to her apartment. He forced his way inside and shot both Anna and her male friend at close range. After the murder, he fled the scene without bothering to cover up his tracks. He made a phone call to his mother, informing her that he had just murdered 2 people, one of whom was Anna. That noon he went to pick his daughter from school like every normal day. But later that evening he was picked up by the San Diego police. And Ali was labeled as controlling, domineering, and volatile. In court he was charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder. Proceedings were delayed by the pandemic. However, in 2024, 3 years after the crime, family members of the victims got a semblance of justice. In September that year, Ali Abulaban was sentenced to 2 consecutive life sentences without parole. He also got an additional 50-year sentence for firearm possession. The TikTok star will be spending the rest of his life behind bars in a maximum security prison. Ruby Franke. Ruby Franke was the perfect YouTube mom, with a channel that had over 2.5 million subscribers on her channel, 8 Passengers. She built a massive audience through filming everyday activities on how she raised her 6 children in Utah, providing faith-based advice, and people would follow her journey through ups and downs. She was perceived as a devoted and kind mother with experience in parental struggles. She advised people who needed to know how she navigates parenting and other aspects of family life. She was trustworthy, or so she seemed, until the events of August 2023. Ruby had previously shown red flags in certain parenting tactics, such as when she spoke about withholding food from a child as punishment, but no one took it seriously, until August 30, 2023. That fateful day, one of Ruby's children escaped from a home where they had been locked up with other children. The child was emaciated and covered in scars. The house was owned by a woman named Jody Hildebrandt. She was recognized as Ruby's business partner and the founder of a counseling group known as Connections. Ruby's escaped child went begging for food at the neighbor's house. The neighbor, upon seeing the scars on the child, called the police immediately. Officers raided Jody's home, and what they found was very disturbing. Extremely malnourished children with injuries were rescued from the home, which served as a form of concentration camp with debilitating living conditions. Many of the children that were rescued were found tied up, isolated, starved, and humiliated. Ruby Franke and Jody Hildebrandt were arrested. As the news went viral, there was a wave of outraged parents who had trusted Ruby's advice and followed her for years. Prosecutors painted a picture of a predator who had deceived viewers for years and preyed on kids, traumatizing them with the most rigorous punishments in the modern era. Ruby pleaded guilty and took a plea deal in February 2024. She pleaded guilty to 4 counts of aggravated child abuse. Under Utah laws, she could face up to 30 years in prison or more. Her life as a YouTuber and as a parenting role model was over. What are your thoughts on these cases? Let us know in the comments. Be sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Thanks for watching.